Hi everyone, my name is Jess and welcome to Accompanied by Jess, where we discuss the delicate and deep secrets of the young people in our generation today. So there's going to be a lot of amazing stories today and I've got so much in store for you today, so tune in. On this show today, because of how delicate the stories are, I'm not going to be disclosing anyone's names and I'm not going to be disclosing, their locations or anything like that. However, I will be sharing their stories and giving names to cover up who they are. So keep listening. So today's story I have for you, it is about a family of 4, or let's say 5, because there's a lot of people involved in this family. So a family of 5, we have the mum called Princess, the father called Justin, and twins called Charles and Lisa, and their younger sister called Mary. So we have these 2 twins and they're at the age of 16 and they start to go out to school. You know how school is. They go into school, growing up, they're into, hobbies and activities. Charles is into football, Lisa's into dance and singing, and she's just, the normal typical girl. So it continues as we go on and we find out that Lisa's pregnant. And she's pregnant and she hasn't brought anyone home, hasn't spoken to anyone about her pregnancy or who she's been seeing. But she's pregnant and she's now reached her 4th month. Her mother Mary now comes to her and asks her, okay, so, who's impregnated you? Where has this come from? And what is it, why are you hiding this guy? Because you're pregnant now and we need to know who this guy is, what he's doing, and he needs to come and sort himself out. So, Lisa's now hiding things from her mum, Princess, and she's like, nah, mum, it's all right, it's fine, I will deal with the baby. The father of the child doesn't want to know the child. The father of the child doesn't want to really, she doesn't want to fight, like, he doesn't want to get involved with the child, right? So she continues saying that to the mum, and the mum's like, no, we need to know who the person is. You can't just come home thinking that you can carry a child that's pregnant, walk around like that. I didn't raise you like that. So Lisa's like, okay, cool. And so we have that they keep going back and forth. There's a lot of family issues because of the pregnancy, and behind closed doors, their little sister Mary has been going to the mum and giving accusation of Lisa and her brother in intimacy. So Mary has been going to her mum and been telling her, look, they're intimate, they're doing things, they're hiding it from you, that's disgusting, and it continues so. And so now it continues, like, Lisa's now going into the last stages of her pregnancy and she finally has the child, and she doesn't tell anyone as of yet who the father of the child is. So the baby's born now and the mom's still questioning, who's the father of the child? You're pregnant. The child somehow looks very much like her brother. So it continues now, and the baby's now growing. The baby's a few months old, and which is very shocking. But Lisa finally has the courage and sits her mum down and tells her that the father of the child is her brother Charles. At this point, Charles is not necessarily responding, and he's already left the house, because once Lisa was about to tell the family, which she already told Charles that she would tell the family, Charles already had left, and he was not at the current point in time at home because he knew that this is going to go far. And boy, Lisa is actually now telling Princess that, Mum, I'm in love with Charles. I don't want to leave him. He's the father of this child. We've produced a baby. He loves me too. He's left the house because, of the fact that you and dad will get onto him. And so her and her mom and her dad are going back and forth. And in this whole situation, Mary's in the middle and Mary's sitting there. She's a bit, deluded at the fact that, I've been telling mom this. She never wanted to believe me that they've been having a relationship and now she's pregnant by her brother. And you have been yelling at me because of saying that. So she says it to him, and literally, Princess is just devastated. She's like, what did I do that my children are not coming and they're doing this? And now my daughter's telling me she's in love with her brother. My daughter's telling me that she wants to be with her brother because of the child, and she finds that it's normal. So it just left the whole house in issues. So many issues. But before this relationship had begun, how did they start sleeping with each other? How was it that, two twins, two siblings have come together and they're now in intimacy, reproducing? So it happened because of curiosity. When a boy is hitting puberty at the age of probably 13. So curiosity built, and they're twins. So what had happened was that Charles had gone into their parents' room and found some tapes of pornography lying around in the parents' room. And he started to watch it. He started to watch these things, and he was thinking, rah, this is amazing. Let me try it out. Let me see what it is. Obviously, at the time, he didn't have a girl. He wasn't getting the female attention he desired. He's now he's slowly hitting puberty. Nobody's really, interested, but his hormones are going everywhere. So, he's been watching this for a year or so. And so he drags his sister. And he drags his sister to watch it. And through the watching of these videos, of these clips of intimacy between two other people, they started practicing it inside of their parents' room. And since, they haven't stopped. And even to the point where they never told anyone that they were in relationships. So when you're young and you begin to grow and your friends are all in relationships, they have boyfriends, they have girlfriends, they have people that they're talking to, they didn't. They were just really quiet people, sat in the corner. They never really discussed it because they already knew that they were in intimacy with each other. So if they said anything in the public world, to anyone, people will look at them weird. However, for the longest time, they've been attracted to each other, and they felt like their relationship had started through this intimacy, and they felt like, okay, this is normal then. So it continued as it was, and that's to the point where now Lisa's pregnant, and she's now given birth, and she's now raising the child who is basically her brother's child as well. And Princess has been asking herself, what is going on with my children? She's still questioning, Lisa finally tells her, Mom, it started through pornography, it started through we finding things in your room. And Princess is sitting here through my room, why have you been in my room to search these things? And she now regrets because she realized that, I shouldn't have had those things laying around. So she goes off, and her and her husband Justin, they've been arguing and arguing and arguing, and Justin's blaming Princess because, how can the two of them have slept together? My daughter's pregnant, we're trying to find out who the man is. I'm her father. She should have presented to me the guy that got her pregnant. You're now 17, 18 and pregnant, and you didn't reveal to us, and now you're telling me that it's a twin. This is an abomination. Who are we going to go to and tell, especially in where we are, the community that we live in, and who are we going to really tell that, your child is pregnant by her sibling, and she is now saying she wants to be with him? And literally mayhem. So much problems in the house, and unfortunately for Mary, she's stuck in between all of that. She's living in a home with no peace, And unfortunately for Mary, because she was saying it over and over again to her mum, you know, Lisa and Charles are in intimacy, it got to a stage where she felt this is normal. And Mary's only 14. And it started getting to a stage where she felt like, okay, this is probably normal. And mum never tells me to, she says, stop saying that. She never really said that there was anything wrong with it. It appeared as if she knew, but really she didn't. So it came to a point where when Mary kept bringing accusations, kept saying that, you know, they're having intimacy, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're watching these things. Whenever Princess used to listen, she'd be like, no, they're not. Stop saying that. That's God's going to punish you if you say that. You know, he used to scare Mary off. And so now Mary is 14 and she's now like, do you know what? Probably this is normal. Probably this is okay. And so she's trying to figure out, you know what, if this is normal, okay, fine, whatever. Like, you know, I guess this is normal. So if I fall in love with somebody in my family, it's normal. And it's built a broken home. It's built a broken house. So this is what had happened. And even till the day in itself, Charles hasn't even come back home. He's still looking for solution. He's quit college. He's now having to go to work. He's looking for a way to provide for that child because, you know, he's the father of the child. Despite he's been playing that uncle but father role, he's been questioning whether or not, you know, whether or not he should boldly tell his father, because the main person is that you can tell your mum to some degree, okay, mum, you know, this, that, but when it comes to the father, he understands that he's been a disappointment to his family. So this is what's been happening in the house, that chaotic environment. So the person who reached out to me was actually the mother, and she's reached that point of devastation. She's upset. She's like, I've caused a broken home, and, you know, what can I do to fix this? Because my kids feel that it's normal to be in a relationship with each other, even to the point where despite Charles ain't at home, but Lisa's going to see Charles and they're still continuing. They don't want to stop. They don't care. But Charles doesn't want to come home because he doesn't want to hear any noise. So this is what's coming. This is what's coming to it. One, I will never condone, or I will never say that incest is correct. It is not. One, because even nature in itself can tell you that you're not meant to be with your sibling. You're not meant to be with, you know, your bloodline like that. You're not meant to interact like that. So, you know, Charles and Lisa, you need to understand that it's wrong. Unfortunately, we can see where it stems from in the fact that you've watched the tape, you've engaged in that activity already, you know, but the problem is that you feel that it's normal now, and it's not. And I'm here just to tell you, look, it's not a normal action. And things, you don't need to trace back at other things that probably opened the door to that. You know, there are other women, there are other men out there in the world which have been picked and chosen to be with you. Out of everyone else, you chose to pick your sibling, and you feel that it's okay. And now you've reproduced, you've got a child now. Okay, do your responsibility of taking care of that child. But the consequences of having a child through incest is that the child can come out as an imbecile. Apologies to anyone, you know, who's got anyone personal, but you're going to bring a child into the world that's going to suffer now because of the fact that you did that. And let me tell you now, is that these can bring curses, you know. These can bring a lot of bad things towards that child. That child's going to suffer for no reason. And because you're still continuing, who knows, you're going to reproduce again. Who knows, you're going to reproduce again, and then another child comes and another issue. Both of you need to look at your future and look at what's ahead. You know, Charles, you've quit school. You're now working full time. And that's because of the mistakes you've made. Not saying that you can't rectify it, not saying that you can't change it, but you need to change. You know, you need to remember, like, okay, let me go back to school, let me finish my school, let me continue. Both of you need to actually look at yourselves and be like, there are other people in this world that I can be with. You can't be with your sibling. My heart goes out to Mary, to Justin, and to Princess, because obviously Princess and Justin, you're both parents, and you know, you are both raising these children, and it's not easy to raise kids, I could imagine. And especially when you've had twins from the birth, like, you know, having to look after two children at once. You know, most people sometimes even quit their jobs just to look after twins at the beginning stages, and to reach the stage where now they've both reproduced and reproduced a child under your roof. It's very heartbreaking. However, as parents, I feel like, Princess, now that you know, you even said it yourself, you know, I left pornography on the bed, I left all these things out there in my room. And just to let you know, like, you know, there's different ways in which you can learn to do specific things. And those things, seek those who are probably going to direct you in the correct way. And I'm talking in the sense of that department. What I would recommend for you is that now you have Mary, and you know, Mary's now in a predicament where she's come and she's told you so many times. And remember, in the time that you know, your child's come to you and she's told you these accusations, now you saw that she was telling the truth. You need to go back and you need to mend that with her. Because what's happened now is that she's scarred. She believes that incest is normal. She believes that, okay, this is fine. So you need to sit down with Mary and you need to speak to her and you need to apologize. Same way with Justin. And, you know, you need to talk to your twins and talk to these children and tell them, look, this is wrong. And keep it in their brain. Call back Charles. Sit him down. And go over your children, what their skills are, their desires are. Try your best to get them to hover away from it. And encourage them to look at other people. And I believe that some of this is also going to need, you know, probably prayer, counseling, taking time, you know, it will take time basically in the whole situation to get them to not, you know, to not feel for each other. And the best thing that you can do is just raise that child. You know, the child has been born innocently, he didn't know, you know, the mistakes that he made. You know, you have a high risk that the child's going to come out disabled. So as a grandmother, as a parent, you know, take care. Also, it's also difficult that your husband's now blaming you, which isn't your fault, because you both take accountability. And at the fact that you left the pornography on the bed, you left the pornography around the room, just laying around carelessly. These are things that you don't open and allow kids to see. So be sure that you're careful and cautious of what you bring into the house, what you're allowing, what you're watching yourself as a mother. Because right now your kids are going to look at you and be like, but you're watching this, you and dad watch this. And you know, Justin, you can't just blame Princess because she's the mom and she should have done something. And I realized that, and I learned this. I'm going to kind of bring out a little bit of the community, but especially in the African culture, a lot of us, you know, we hear that the mother gets blamed for many of the things that the children does. And it's true to some extent, because, you know, we're the ones that stay with the children, but you cannot blame the wife, because at the end of the day, the father is also there to bring order. So you need to sit down with your wife. You're both in a position of shock, but you can't just bring havoc and headache between the two of you because the children have done that. You need to both now work together. You both need to go through counseling for your marriage, because your house is now torn. And you need to work together now as a team. Put aside, you know, your own emotions and look at your children and put them ahead of you and push on that, because, you know, you want them to get married, you want them to fall in love with different people, you want them to grow and to finish school, you know, you want them to no longer bring you shame. Obviously at this time, you know, whoever does know, it will bring shame to your family, but be wise of it. You can't do much. So that's my advice to you. Thank you so much, and I hope that the advice that I gave to you, you know, that I've shared with you today, is something that will benefit you. I don't condone you know, I don't condone it at all. I don't believe it's right to have incest. I don't believe that that's correct. However, I do recommend that, you know, you all just take the time to sit down, get that relationship back first, and then from that, from your talking to your children and from you coming with your children will hopefully break away from that. Aside from that, thank you so much, you know, for your story. Thank you so much for your courage. Thank you so much for coming to me and explaining your story to me, because, you know, there's not anyone you can go to. There's not a lot of people that you can open up to a situation so delicate like this. So thank you that you've come to me. I'm very humbled by that. I hope that the advice I've given you today would be of benefit. Keep your head high. There's hope in the future. There's hope for, there's a place for change. I just hope you seek the right thing. And for myself, I'd recommend prayer as well. You know, there is a being out there that is going to be willing to help you, going to be willing to change your circumstances, that's able to wipe away the shame. So, you know, do that. So, thank you so much. I hope this story blesses somebody out there. Each person has a story that, you know, a story that can help another person today. So, as you tuned in, thank you. I hope to see you again next week. If you have any stories that you desire or that you want to share and you feel like you need assistance, please don't feel ashamed. Message me on accompaniedbyjess@gmail.com. I'm ready and I'm happy to hear your story. Thank you. And until then, see you next week.